Happy New Year, everybody. It's Ray Gibson. And I thought I'd start this New Year off with a live in this group. It's only available in this group. I have turned off my chat tab so I don't end up getting distracted by a bunch of messages coming in. So I'll just sit around and wait. Let me see if I can figure out if I can see. Yeah, somebody tell me how I can see the comments if there are any. Let's see. Try another way of going live. Yeah, I don't know what that means. So I'll play it. I'll play with it. Okay, not that. What I'll actually do is pull this up inside of the group so that I can see what I'm doing, so I can see the comments as they roll by. Okay. Alrighty. Let's see if I can get this thing in its own window. Nah, I can't get it in its own window. But that's okay. I can partially see any comments. How's everybody doing? There's only about 35 people in here. And, oh no, there is such a delay. There's such a delay over there on the, as I'm watching myself on my phone. I hope everybody had a happy new year, that you didn't get too wasted, that you were safe, you were sound. Anybody else in here? Let's see if I can find another way to look at this. Make an announcement? Mark as an announcement. Okay, I'll mark it as an announcement. What the heck? Calling all warriors. Calling all troops that are in this group. Somebody say something. I know one of you knew this live was getting ready to come on. So I want you to be the first to make a comment in there so I can at least see it. What the heck was that? Oh, these are, okay, invite. Okay, I'm going to just start going down the line. I'm going to pull it. I'm going to invite everybody in here. Since there's only a small group. And then I'll talk a little bit about the history of this group, since I know people don't like to freaking read, even though all that information is in here about the origins of Trans Male Black Lives Matter Incorporated. That's what it stands for. Hey, there you are. I see one of you. Okay. So, I'll wait a few more minutes. I don't have any music playing. I could play some music, but my setup in here, I have a these itty bitty Boss speakers that pack a bang. And then there's a subwoofer on the floor, and usually because of anything connected to my desk feels the subwoofer. It's usually too much bass for me to play music while I'm talking. Can everybody hear me? I'll still wait. This is a picture of Malcolm X. And for anybody that doesn't know, I am also a YouTube content creator that makes videos over on YouTube. I call them vlogs over there, short for video logs. And my handle is the Fox45, the Pollinator. Okay, good. Thank you, Wanda. And all of my all of my videos over there, the title starts with TMX. That stands for trans man, trans male, trans man X, as in Malcolm X. So, I'm 61 years old, for some of you that don't know. I grew up watching the most powerful leaders of our time during the civil rights era, the civil rights movements. I was a child during all of that, but I got to watch it on TV, and I got to watch my very, very powerful black mother who participated in a lot of the marching, the sit-ins. She got arrested. She got a whole bunch of things happened around that time, and she talked to me about all of the leaders of that time. And you know, I saw her fall apart. Excuse me, my eyes are still bothering me. I had eye surgery last September. What was I talking about? Okay, my mother. You know, I watched her fall completely apart when every one of them got murdered. I'm not going to call it assassinated. You know, I'm not going to call it some fluke thing, because most people know the government dismantled the civil rights movement and all of the members of the civil rights era. She fell apart for everybody, including then President Kennedy, and then his brother. This country is very vicious when it comes to the rise of black peoples. And so this group I started in, the original group I started in July of 2017. And it just started out as a group. I saw that, you know, we were being pushed around this platform. You know, white people were trying to take up too much damn space in the group. You know, white is right, and they was always trying to be that way in a lot of the groups on this platform. When I say platform, I mean fucker book, I mean Facebook. In the software world, it is called a platform in that industry. Anyway, we were being pushed all around this platform, you know, silenced, people wanting us just to sit by and watch them be racist, watch them be, you know, if we were in mixed groups, they did their damnedest to, like I said, take up too much space. And for those who are in multiple groups, you'll know what I'm talking about, especially in trans male groups where there's a lot of white men in them. They think they rule the day, just like in society. And so I created this group, and when I did, it completely put a bomb in another group that I had, because I made an announcement in there that I was forming this group, and all the white people got upset. Well, I wouldn't say all, but many of them who had never even spoken up in that group before had something to say about me creating TMBLM. That's what I called it at first. And because of that, I shut that group down. You know, I told them I didn't have to, you know, I don't, managing and administrating and moderating groups on Facebook is not easy, and we don't get paid to do this. So I wasn't going to get abused by members in there because they didn't like the fact that a black man was in charge of the group. and that I was creating another group that they weren't going to be able to be a part of. I told them, I can maintain two groups. It's not like I was wanting to shut that one down, but, a dog pile happened in there. And I basically shut the group down. I let everybody know I was getting ready to do that. But it was a big fuck you, white people, because I just wasn't going to tolerate that. And only one guy stuck up for me in that group when all of that was happening. And he happened to be a white man. He's a friend of mine to this day. Well, he's not a close friend. I don't necessarily believe in white allies, because when push comes to shove, I gave that guy an opportunity to go live with me, because he was complaining that anytime he tried to speak out about black people and in his family, around his friends who were racist, he was getting the smackdown, and he was getting discouraged, and he was getting all of these things where he wasn't being heard. So I gave him the opportunity to go live with me so that it can say everything he wanted to say without interference from his friends, his family, or whoever it was he was getting into it with out there in the world. And that man made every excuse in the world not to do that. And I pursued him for probably over 6 months to go live with me. So see, people will say one thing, but they're doing another. This fight for getting our civil rights back is no joke. And it's a shame that the black community has ostracized the LGBT community, which is why that's a separate community. If they weren't so anti-LGBT, we'd all be a part of the same group. Okay? And then I noticed another thing, that trans women were ruling the day, and then all the narratives of trans women were being more or less told, but they were getting all the publicity, they were getting all of the hype, they were getting all of the media's attention, and trans men were in the background. Nobody wanted to hear our narratives, nobody wanted to hear our stories. And so the original group that I started in July 2017, I pulled everybody into that group. All of my friends, I made an announcement, put that out there into groups, and it was quickly building. And wow, there's still nobody else in here. Anyway, yeah. So you can watch this on the replay. I might even, the only one that's in here, I might ask if you want to come in. But so I let just anybody in that group. And then I began to notice patterns. I began to notice who was about being black and who was about being LGBT. And what I found out, and what is very, very prevalent in this society right now, is everybody is on the LGBTQ plus wagon. Nobody wants to be on the black wagon. Be it fear, be it slave mentality, be a lot of things that I promote in this group, that I put in this group, and that other members of this group put inside of the group. That everybody wants to be about the drama in the LGBT, but nobody wants to take seriously the fact that the number one thing that people see in society is our skin color. They don't know your sexuality, and they don't know your gender. And so I dismantled that group. There were almost 400 people in there. I gave plenty of notice that if they wanted to keep that thing alive, that they needed to jump off of their stuff and jump on the pro-black bandwagon. Very few people said anything, and I just sat and watched and observed. And also in the background was one of the biggest, well, the only black transgender organization in this country, the national one, which is BTAC. They were siphoning off members left and right. They were in people's inboxes who were letting me know that they were being, the attempt was to recruit them into BTAC. So, a lot of petty stuff was going on. And not only that, but fraternities and and all sorts of people were in there who were just in there to get members for their organization. So that's another reason why I shut it down and dismantled it and started all over fresh. So the things that I wanted to happen in here and why I started over again is that I wanted to make sure that the people that were in the group were about the black agenda. Now, I've spoken with almost every single one of you about joining TMBLM Incorporated. Now, you're not a member of the organization unless you're paying something to the organization. But it is my commitment and my promise to try to make this free for all. Even the things that I'm going to be doing for trans men and for people in this group, I am not going to charge money to do it. See, black people, we're on the bottom rung of the economics in the United States and around the world. So I don't want to be a money-grabbing capitalist about this group. And so I'm going, everything that I'm doing is behind the scenes to try to get grants for this organization and money from venture capitalists. I'm very busy in the background trying to make that happen. That's why I haven't been as active in this group, because I'm handling all the logistics. And until I get a team, I have to make this a 501c3. But in order to do that, I have to have at least 2 board members, and I have to have business insurance to protect those board members from their personal finances. So I have to I'm doing a lot of stuff in the background trying to get this thing sustainable and prepared for battle. Now, when I say battle, I don't mean a physical battle, because we are all over the world in this group. There are international people in here. There are people in the United States. And so it's not the kind of organization that is, its roots are in Atlanta, yes. But, I am going to be trying to empower each and every one of you to do something to spread this kind of empowerment in your local area. Because look, the mind has to be freed first. Has to be free of all of the drama, has to be free of the direction and the it has to be free. You have to be free up here in order for you to be free out there in the world, out there in your community, out there in your neighborhood. You have to be free of the psychological, emotional, mental, physical, financial, subliminal things going on in your mind that is preventing us from being free. There's a big competition going on Facebook. It isn't about collaborating around here. It's really about getting a bunch of people to go look over here, look over there, look over here, look over there. And there is no focus. There's just a lot of people watching lives and videos, and it's like information overload. But in this group, in this front end of TMBLM Incorporated, it's not just some other Facebook group for you to just pull crap from everywhere and put it in this group. The focus is on being pro-black. And if you don't, I cannot define that for you. I do ask each and every one of you what that means to you. And then depending on your answer, I let you in. And then I sit here and observe what you do and what you don't do. Yes, I see the silence in here. I see the fear. I feel it. But I also belong to over 200 groups. And many of them are pro-black groups. Many of them are black groups. They're cisgender heterosexual groups. But I still pull a lot of information out of those groups and put it in this one. And those people in there are fearless. Fearless. They don't care that Facebook is watching. They don't care that the employees of this platform are watching the activity in those groups. Some of those groups have double-digit thousands of people in them. Some of them have, single digit thousands of people, but those is very, very, very active. And what I'm noticing, and what I've been noticing most of my life, is that when it comes to the LGBT, they're kind of in a safe haven over there from the issues of being black while still being affected by being black. They're not talking up about that. They don't want to deal with that. They want to act like that's not there. Most of the transgender women that were murdered in 2018 were black transgender women. And you got to ask yourself, why is that? They're not going out there trying to kill a bunch of white ones. They're not going out there trying to kill a bunch of Hispanic ones. They're definitely not out there trying to kill Asian ones, and they're not out there trying to kill Native American ones. Native Americans are in a class by themselves because they're very, very tribal. They stay to their own, and they really don't get involved in a lot of the things that are going on in the United States. But so the LGBT, while screaming about the fact that we are oppressed as a people, and then we've got a double oppression going on, that we're black and that we're LGBT, and that we've been outcast from the black community, so that we formed our own. But in forming our own, we are ignoring the issue of being black. So, yeah, I see people are asleep. I guess if I actually made an announcement, you think more people would show up to a live I put in here? To the only one that's actually watching? If I announced the live? I just did this impromptu because is it still the first of... What? Yeah, because it's the first day of 2019. So I just did an impromptu jump up in here to see who was awake. Awake. Not with your eyes, with this. That is the purpose of TMBLM Incorporated, is to begin to chip away at those walls you have built up to ignore the fact that you are a black person in this country, no matter what your sexuality or your gender is, and you are a black person in this world, which is why there's a lot of internationals in this group. I don't ask them to participate because I know out there most of them could get abused, killed, jailed, and all sorts of other things can happen to them if it is discovered that they are LGBT in their prospective countries on that continent. Yes, to announcing a live in the future. I still not sure that would help people wake up in here, because everybody is busy doing their own shit on their timeline. They're looking at a whole bunch of other people. They're involved in other groups, and they think this is just another Facebook group, when it isn't. It's the front end of an organization, which is a difference. So yeah, I just wanted to go live tonight, before the end of this day, to tell everybody, you know what, there are a lot of messages in this country, the way Hollywood operates, the way the media operates, the way the news medias operate, the way society operates when it comes to the government, when it comes to economics, when it comes to everything. There's messages for us to fight with each other, and there's messages for us not to be focused. There's messages for us to hate ourselves. See, at the core of slave mentality is hatred for self. And it's going to take a very special kind of something for me to begin to open you up to what about you that is black you do not like. So yeah, I put videos in here which is just one more video of a host of videos you're watching, or maybe not even watching, to begin to open your eyes to the kind of self-hatred that exists inside of each and every one of us. It's just a matter of degree to how much of it is in there. And that stuff that's in there prevents you from being conscious, from being a critically thinking black man or woman in the United States. Yes, people are afraid of folks like me, but I don't care. I would rather be free than to shut up and play. You know, everybody knows that if you are a professional athlete in this country and you are black, they do not want to hear your agenda. They don't want to hear anything. They just want you to shut up and entertain them. Well, TMBLM Incorporated is about entertaining ourselves, saying whatever's on our mind in here about the issue of being black in this world, in the diasporas around the country. I'm sitting down here watching over here, seeing some of my notifications for things going on in various groups. I don't turn on the notifications for all groups because I would just be overwhelmed with them. I can never catch up anyway with my notifications. So let's see. You know, most of the people in here aren't even online. I see. Also, I put instead of making a flyer for a live that I want to do at the end of this month, I made a video talking about manhood and having to redefine ourselves as men when most of our lives we were socialized as women. There is a warrior in us, guys. There is a warrior in the women. There in black women and black men. But it seems like there's a very strange movie that I watch from time to time that's in my video library called Dune. There's a big old story behind that movie with me because I actually made a piece of software that followed that line, that movie, and the theme of that movie. I created back before the internet began, in what they called a BBS, a bulletin board service. I created this thing, this monstrosity of a thing out of that movie. But one of the main lines of that movie was that the main character, who became, I'll say, emperor of the whole theme of the movie, said the sleeper must awaken. And I took that to heart. The sleeper must awaken in all of us. The warrior must awaken in all of us if we are really to tackle racism and white supremacy and all of those things that go along with it in this world. But if anybody's in a position to actually lead us out of that, it will be black Americans. We are a first world nation. A lot of the other nations are suffering so badly that they really don't even have time to think about, they're thinking about where they're going to get their next meal, or where, how they're going to survive in their environment. We have a little bit more freedom here, even though we're oppressed greatly in the United States. We still have it better than people on other continents, black people on other continents. The only thing they have over us is that they don't have this constant white supremacy thing in their face. So yeah, we got to be stronger than them because we got to endure that bullshit and then manage to lead us to freedom. So I'm going to take you to the Black Panther movie, where Killmonger said he'd rather die, he'd rather be thrown in the ocean than to be jailed and experimented on. What is it that he said? Okay, exactly what he said escapes my mind, but in other words, his thing was to rather fight than to be in bondage. We are in bondage all around the world. That needs to awaken. That reality needs to awaken that, yeah, even if you've got a job, even if you're doing fairly well out there, even if you've got a partner, you've got friends, you've got things, you've got that, as a people, we are still in bondage. And so how are we going to get out of that? It's going to take a huge conversations in order to work through that and to find solutions and little things that we can do, from little things to medium things to big things that we can do to get out from under bondage in the United States, and then help our brothers and sisters abroad do the same. TMBLM Incorporated is going to establish a pipeline with the immigration offices here in the United States to help some of the brothers and sisters out there make their way to the United States if they want to, or Canada, or wherever they want to go outside of that country. That is the most dangerous place to be LGBT. I don't care which country you're talking about. One may be less, they may be tripping less than other countries on that continent, but for the most part, it's a very dangerous place to be. So, no, it's not going to help people get here, but it's going to, I have to empower you to, you internationals, to do whatever you can. Well, not even whatever you can. Forget can't. You got to do what it takes to get yourself out of that country, because your embassies are very tough on letting you leave your country. But anyway, that's just another side piece of TMBLM Incorporated. As a business, I will be able to allow internationals to hang their visas off of my business. If they don't know, hanging them off of an individual can get that individual in trouble, because the plan is, once they get here, once they make their way to the United States, then help them seek asylum in the United States, which right now is a crapshoot because of the idiot in charge of this country, and all his minions are trying very hard to shut down the borders, and all borders around the United States, from black and brown people. Now, I don't much care about the brown part, but I do care that they are preventing black people from seeking asylum here too, and getting into the United States. So yeah, it's going to do a little bit of that. And then I have other plans to provide equipment for trans men to help them deal with that dreaded word dysphoria. Because a lot of times transgender men are kind of consumed with not having the right genitals. And so binders help us bind our chest down so it does not look like we have boobs. And Packers helps us with not being born with a biological penis until we can afford the surgeries, which are costly. Unless you have a job, unless you have civilian insurance, they are very costly to come out of pocket. So I may do, what do you call it? Just, provide the money for surgeries, depending on what that looks like. That's way out in the future. In the beginning, now is waking people up, because I'm not doing anything for anybody who comes along and wants something done for them. They have to have a level of courage and a level of participation in TMBLM Incorporated for me and the officers of TMBLM to do anything for them. If they're just sitting there waiting for a lifeline, it's not going to happen like that. They have to contribute to this group. And yeah, so because I had that eye surgery that interrupted everything for 90 days, and some other things that have been going on in my life, I haven't been able to be as active in here as I wanted to be. And that's still going to be an issue until I can make this thing a 501c3, which involves a lot of logistics, creating a bank account for the business, and just a whole bunch of stuff in the background that needs to happen before I can make this a 501c3. When I make it that, then I can get funding from all sorts of different places where they can write it off on their taxes. That's how it works in the United States for nonprofits. If they can't write it off on their taxes, they don't want to donate and contribute to your business. So I really do have to be a 501c3 before I can get some big money coming into this organization where I can do a lot of things for us. You know, I can foresee having a little mini conference for us, and not the kind of mini conference where I'll be banging on people to go out and recruit for TMBLM Incorporated. It's not going to be like that. It will be held in Atlanta, so people in the United States will have to make their way here. But we're just going to have fun together, and we're going to try to talk about some of the things going on, what's on our mind, what's on our hearts, what's heavy on us that keeps us from becoming the warriors that we were meant to be. Black people, Moors, melanated people, we are the strongest people on the planet, but a lot of people don't know that. They don't know they have that strength within. They don't know that we are spiritual beings, that we have access to places on the universe that will make us even more powerful. People just don't know who they are, and when you don't know who you are, you're just a blade of grass waiting for the wind to blow you one way or the other, be it on your job, be it whatever. So this is just going to give you a focus in one area of your life, which is really a big ass area. But to start, it's going to be a small focus to begin to awaken the sleeper that is inside of you. Is that going to be an easy task? No. But what good things in life ever came easy, really? We have never been free in this country. They do everything to make sure to let us know we're not free, that they control you. They'll go as far as to thinking they own you. They own your narratives. They own what you think. They own what you say. They own everything about you, because white people are in control of this country, and they're in control of the government. They're in control of business. They're in control of politics. And that encompasses everything that we have to live inside of. So if we had a community, if we had communities, pockets of communities here and there where we felt safe, where we were policing our own neighborhoods, where we were doing things that the Black Panther Party did back in the day. And don't ever believe that the Black Panther Party was an evil party. It just scared the crap out of white people. So they made up the FBI and the CIA made up a bunch of bullshit about them, a bunch of lies about them, and dismantled them and covered it up with the lies. But the Black Panther Party was very, very powerful. They fed people. They protected the communities. They had educational programs. They had food drives. They had clothing drives. They were taking care of us. That is why this country killed them and killed the leaders, and so that it would dismantle. But our young people are starting to wake up in pockets around the country. I'm watching this activity outside of TMBLM. And they're creating groups here, there, everywhere. But again, nobody is cohesive and nobody is collaborating so that they can blow this thing nationally. That is what needs to happen, is some national organization that encompasses all these other little organizations. I don't know if that's just a pipe dream. I don't know if that's just fantasy. But I will spend the rest of my life trying to make that happen. You understand? The rest of my life. I'm not stopping for shit. God put it on me, put it in my mind, and put it on my heart that this is something that was needed. And so I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to make that happen. So I encourage people to begin to dialogue inside of this group. Don't be afraid of this platform. A whole bunch of black people aren't. It's just the LGBT ones that seem to be afraid to talk about what it is to be black in America. They want to talk about what it is to be gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer, asexual, intersex. They want the elephant in the living room is being black. That is the part that they don't want to talk about. They're not dealing with that elephant in the living room. They're dancing all around it with rhetoric all around it, getting people pulled off in this direction, off in that direction, and ain't nobody dealing with the real issue of why we're oppressed. You think we're oppressed primarily because we're part of the LGBTQ plus? Wrong answer. We are oppressed because we're black. You know, I watched a show called The Shop. I've got 3 of their shows with LeBron James and a whole bunch of people on that cast. And they talk about what it's like to be black and the fact that you can have all the money in the world. You can have all the prestige in the world. You can have all the celebrity in the world. But what does this country see? They're still black. They still can't do things that white people do. They have a platform, and then black people take pot shots at them because they're jealous that they've got a lot of money. Those athletes are still black. They still have to toe the line. They're still being told to shut up and play. That's what happened to Kaepernick. And if you notice, you know, people talk a lot of shit about that, but they're not really trying to get that. But we don't have any power and control in this country. So they're not, you know, they'll take pot shots at him too. But very few people are really behind what Colin Kaepernick stood for. They'd rather talk about the fact he had money. He's a spoiled, blah, 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 blah. Oh, man, we got to get rid of that rhetoric. Who cares who makes it and who doesn't? If you don't care about who makes it, they're not going to care about you in the community. You scratch their back, they might scratch yours. That is the name of the game. You know, I grew up in the celebrity world, and I saw how many people spat at my family and spat at me for having money, without realizing that I had it worse than them when it came to racism, because I was around all them white people and they were calling me out my name and doing all sorts of bizarre shit while I had a lot of money. I was still a nigga to them. Didn't matter. And then it hurt me deeply that my own people were more obsessed with us having money than they were being. I was just one of the people. My father was one of them that made it. He's very, very, very famous. But despite his fame, he got spit in the eye too. If anybody wants to go out and look at some videos of my father, his name is Bob Gibson, and he played for the St. Louis Cardinals. And he does a lot of interviews where he talks about the racism that existed in Major League Baseball at the time of his reign. And he and a couple of other, Kurt Flood and a couple of other team players got together and started breaking down those walls of segregation at the time, because the black players and the white players had to live apart. They couldn't socialize together, and there was just a lot of things that people don't give my father credit for doing for the black community. Just like Bill Cosby, you see how they're tearing him down, and I don't want to hear about what kind of man, or what your opinion is about what that man did. He still did more for the black community than another average ordinary black person has done since the civil rights movement. So I mean, black colleges, he was getting ready to own NBC. That's why they took that man down by any means necessary. They are trying to strip him of everything that he has done for the black people in this country. They don't give a flying fuck that man took a stand and did what he could inside of that industry, giving the parameters and the towing the line that he had to do with white folks. He did kind of forget who the enemy was and who he was around that. And he was never gonna be part of that club, the white man's club. And he kind of forgot that, and they just pulled the rug out from under him. So I'm going to encourage people to stop playing the same game that most black people play about black celebrities. That comes from slave mentality too. They want us to be jealous of each other. They want us to take each other down. We are the only race in this nation that does that. Hispanics don't do it. Asians don't do it. Native Americans don't do it. White people don't do it. They don't spend all of their time taking the rug out from under ones who have made it, celebrities. Very few black people make it into a real celebrity status. And then you see what happens when they're there. Everybody thinks it's their mission to take them down, to cast their negative opinions about them, to show white people their jealousy and their rage and their envy and their spite and all of the things that you see going on a daily basis about black celebrities. So yeah, I'm like, ooh, I'm on fire when it comes to that. I'm sick of that. I think it's bullshit, and I think people need to grow up and stop being petty about each other. We need to love one another. We don't have to like one another, but we do have to have a level of love for our people in order to heal from all the negative messages and all the negative nonsense and all of the oppression and all of the systemic oppression that is being waged against us 24 hours a day. In order for us to feel better and begin to do some things and come together as a people, we have to practice self-love, and then we have to practice love for each other. Yeah, there's some people that I flat out won't even deal with that are black. But I still love my people. But if they want to get caught up in stuff and drag me down with them, I ain't got time for that. So anyway, I'm going to shut up. I have no idea how long I've been talking. But I just wanted to give everybody a little bit of an introduction into who I am. I used to be, my career was in computers. I started out a computer operator many, many years ago in the 70s. And I rose to become a software consultant for a company for computers that were called Tandem Computers Incorporated, not Tandy. And there was another company that they get Tandem confused with. But so, my area, my expertise was computers, but I've done a lot of things in my life to self-grow. I have over 35 years of sobriety and clean time. I've done many seminars. I've done many workshops. I've done a lot of things to improve my insights. So this is my version of paying it forward. All the things that have happened for me to give to all of you. If you will let me. If you will participate. If you will speak up. I am a leader. I am the leader and the executive director and founder of TMBLM Incorporated. So it is my responsibility and my job to help you guys over that hump to begin to open your fucking eyes, and the sleeper must awaken. If you get a chance, that movie's really weird, but if you get a chance, rent Dune, D-U-N-E, Dune. And you will see what I'm talking about in there. Now, I'm not talking about what happened in the end of that movie. I'm not trying to be a king. I'm trying to create leaders. And I'm starting with trans men first. Women are natural leaders, and there's going to be some women officers in this company. But it's primarily to start getting trans men, to be leaders, to be warriors. That is the intention and the direction of this organization. And I'll die trying to make that happen. See? So I hope everybody has a blessed rest of their night. And again, Happy New Year. Happy 2019.